This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. A municipal councillor of Dolores town in Quezon province was gunned down early Friday, November 18th, police said. A spot report from Dolores police said Orlando Barsomo, 47, was shot by a still unidentified assailant using an unknown gun caliber at 3:15 a.m. while doing his walking exercise in Barangay Dagutan. Investigators said the gunman fled and left his target dead. The victim, a bachelor who was on his third term as a town councillor, was also a former village chieftain of Dagutan, located 5 kilometers away from the town proper. An investigation was underway to establish the motive behind the incident. Police also launched a manhunt operation to arrest the killer. 2 village officials and 7 others were arrested for illegal drugs and guns and separate by bust and search operations on Thursday, November 17th, in the Bicol region. In a report, Lieutenant Colonel Maria Luisa Calubaquib, Bicol police spokesperson, said Jose Conj, 46, a councillor at Barangay Puting Bato in Esperanza town, Masbate province, was arrested around 6:30 p.m. in the area. During the search, police confiscated a .45 pistol, a steel magazine for the same gun, a .22 revolver with 4 rounds of live bullets and an improvised airgun. Calubaquib said Charlie Manlangit, 45, a village councillor in Barangay Tomanog in San Andres town in Catanduanes province, was also arrested at 5:05 am. Authorities recovered 6 grams of shabu worth 40,800 pesos from his residence. A former councillor of Pili town in Camarines province was shot and killed on Saturday night, November 19th, a report said Sunday, November 20th. Lieutenant Colonel Maria Luisa Calubaquib, the Bicol police spokesperson, said when Raul Delfin de Vinagracia arrived at his apartment, he was shot several times by an unidentified gunman in Barangay Cadlan at around 9 p.m. The victim died while being taken to the hospital. An investigation is ongoing. A former mayor tagged in the killing of the deputy prosecutor of Isabela Rincona, a PAO in 2021, surrendered to the police in a PAO on Wednesday, November 16th. Captain Manny Abelaneda, information officer of the police regional office Cordillera, said Leonardo Deo Andangoy, 65, former mayor of Cona, surrendered at Camp Governor Elias Burat Senior and Training Center in Luna after learning that he had an arrest warrant for murder. Abelaneda said the warrant was issued by Judge Neljo Cortez of Branch 26, Regional Trial Court in Luna with no bail recommended. Dangoy was listed as the #1 most wanted person in a PAO in the 4th quarter of this year. On the 23rd of June, 2021, 2 men allegedly barged and shot to death attorney Victor Domingo Begtang Jr., 49, inside his house in Barangay Maloma. The suspects fled while Begtang was taken to the Cona District Hospital where he was declared dead. A Calacan court convicted police officer Jeffrey Perez of torture and planting of evidence in the killings of teenagers Carl Arnes and Reynaldo Quilat de Guzman, whose cases were believed to be carried under the Duterte government's bloody war on drugs. In a decision released by the public attorney's office on Wednesday, the Calacan City Regional Trial Court Branch 122 said it found Patrolman Perez guilty of beyond reasonable doubt for all the crimes charged against him. The court convicted him of violation of Section 4 and 14 of Republic Act 9745 or the Anti-Torture Act of 2009 against Arnes and de Guzman. He was also found guilty of planting of evidence under RA 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002 and RA 10591 or Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act in the case of Arnes. Presiding Judge Rodrigo Pascua Jr. sentenced to reclusion perpetual or up to 40 years of imprisonment for the torture conviction on de Guzman and planting of evidence in the case of Arnes. The court also ordered Perez to pay the heirs of Arnes and de Guzman moral damages amounting to 1 million pesos and exemplary damages amounting to 1 million pesos, or a total of 2 million pesos for each of the victims' heirs. The Sandigan Bayan denied the motion for reconsideration of former North Cotabato 2nd District Representative Gregorio Ipong, who was found guilty of graft and malversation in connection with his Priority Development Assistance Fund in 2007. The court's 6th Division also denied the appeal of Ipong's co-accused, Marivic Jova, former chief accountant of the defunct Technology Livelihood and Resource Center. The court maintains its ruling holding that the prosecution was able to prove the criminal culpability of both accused beyond reasonable doubt, the court said in a resolution penned by Associate Justice Kevin Mas Vivero. with the concurrence of Division Chairperson Sarah Jean Fernandez and Associate Justice Bernie Jacinto. In the 13th of September, 2022 decision of the court, Ipong, Jova, and former TLRC Deputy Director General Dennis Cunanan were sentenced to 6 to 10 years imprisonment for graft and 10 to 17 years plus a fine of 4.9 million pesos each for malversation. 2 former police officers were arrested in an anti-drug operation here, a top police official said Wednesday. Colonel Alexander Lorenzo, Zamboanga City Police Office Director, said Abdulgafar Turaji Jr., 41, and Ledger Abilini, 42, were arrested by ZCPO Station 6 operatives in an anti-drug operation around 11:23 p.m. Tuesday in Sitio Talon, Talon Loop, Barangay Talon Talon. Police said Turaji is a high-value suspect being a member of the local Adas drug syndicate, while Abilini is a newly identified drug personality. Both were discharged from police service for drug-related charges. Lorenzo said the anti-drug operation was launched against the 2 after they agreed to transact with an undercover cop. The operation resulted in the seizure of 2 grams of suspected shabu packed in 5 plastic sachets worth 13,600 pesos and other pieces of evidence. The suspects, who will be charged with violation of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act, were placed under the custody of the ZCPO. 10 members of the Drug Enforcement Group of the Philippine National Police have been relieved amid an ongoing investigation into an anti-drug operation in Manila that yielded nearly 1 ton of shabu and led to the arrest of a police officer last the 8th of October. PNP spokesperson Colonel Jean Fajardo said Wednesday that among the relieved officers were some PDEG team leaders and the immediate supervisor of the suspect, Master Sergeant Rodolfo Mayo Jr., a PDEG intelligence officer and the owner of Wealth and Personal Development Lending Incorporated in Santa Cruz, Manila, which was raided by authorities. They were temporarily transferred to the Personnel Holding and Accounting Unit at Camp Crame. No less than the Chief PNP General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. ordered to really investigate this, and right now some vital information has been shared that this policeman was caught and his immediate supervisors, immediate team leaders, and other drug enforcement personnel were temporarily relieved and transferred at the PHAU of the PNP Camp Crame while the investigation is being conducted, and hopefully before the end of November we will get a definite result on the investigation done by SITG. Fajardo told reporters in an interview in Camp Crame. Fajardo said the measure was implemented under the doctrine of command responsibility. We are not saying they are directly involved with Mayo, who was caught in possession of large amounts of shabu, but for transparency and accountability and command responsibility, they are being temporarily relieved from the PDEG to give way to the SITG's investigation, she stressed. Earlier, 2 police sergeants assigned with the PDEG allegedly sneaked out some 42 kilos of shabu from the 990 kilos of shabu seized during the 8th of October operation. PDEG Chief Brigadier General Narciso Domingo himself discovered the incident after a review of the closed-circuit television camera footage before and after the raid at the Wealth and Personal Development Lending Incorporated in Santa Cruz, Manila, which was owned by Mayo. In the footage, a man was seen going out of the lending agency office and was later seen loading 2 bags inside a car. When one of the police sergeants was asked to shed light on the incident, the cop admitted that there were 30 kilos of shabu still in their possession and that the car is owned by another PDEG operative. When the other PDEG operative was asked to appear before the PDEG headquarters, he informed his superior instead that he would just leave the illegal drugs near Camp Crame in Quezon City. During the inspection, it was found that there were 42 kilos left by the PDEG operative, which has an estimated street value of 285.6 million pesos. A 59-year-old barangay captain and an ex-officio member of Sangguniang Bayan was ambushed while on board his sports utility vehicle by unidentified riding in tandem assailants on Tuesday afternoon, November 22nd in this town. The victim, Enrico Renegrazan, barangay chairman of District 3 and president of the Association of Barangay Captains, ABC, in this town, was declared dead on arrival at the hospital. Investigation said that around 5:30 p.m., the victim, who was with 3 others inside his SUV car, was traversing the barangay road of Barangay Aoiao, Lemery when the suspects shot him several times. Investigation added that the suspects tailed the victim's vehicle and were able to shoot Razan as they got closer. On the right portion of the SUV, the victim sustained gunshot wounds at his back and died at Metro Lemery Medical Center, while his passengers, who were all women, were unhurt. Suspects fled as police conducted a manhunt operation. The police have yet to determine the motives in the killing. That's all for this week. I'll see you next week with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.